Welcome to the Byles Family reunion, August 2 to 10, 1992 at Hood Canal, Alderbrook Inn. But first, a little bit of history. This reunion was for the descendants of Ruth Aurelia Mason Byles and Francis William Byles and their children Chester Newton Byles, Elvin Mason Byles, and Francis Carol Byles Pettridge. They were the ones that started the tradition of having summers up on Hood Canal near Alderbrook Inn, where it is now. But first, I'm standing near the monument where everything got started in the Oregon Territory in 1853. This marker here marks the trailhead, or actually the end of the trail, where our ancestors were coming west to Puget Sound, and is close to the area where they had to kill some of the cattle in order to let their wagons down over the last barricade to get into the Puget Sound area. Names of the pioneer families that came over the Natchez Pass, 1853. Byles, spelled with an I. Byles with a Y. Clinton, Davis, Day, Downey, Finch, Fitch, Frazier, Gant, Gordon, Grievin, Guess, Hampton, Longmire, McCullough, Melville, Mitchell, Mueller, Nielsen, Ogle, Porter, Riston, Sargent, West, Woodward, Woolery, Wright, and Young. This monument can be found on the way to Crystal Mountain, and it's at the meeting of the Greenwater River and the White River, and it's right on the border between Pierce County and King County, and it's just outside of the entrance to the Sunrise entrance to Mount Rainier. This marker was erected in memory of the pioneers who came over the Natchez branch of the Oregon Trail and was erected in 1941. Our ancestors first entered the Puget Sound region at the Natchez Pass in the Oregon Territory in 1853, and we're now where they first settled in Puget Sound in the Grand Mound area, which is about halfway between Olympia and Centralia. The site of Fort Hennis, built and occupied by the pioneers during the Indian Wars of 1855 and 1856, and this ground here was donated by the Grand Mound Cemetery Association with a memorial erected by the Washington State Historical Society in 1926. This area here is one of 5 prairies that are interconnected. The fort was one of only 2 forts that were ever built by civilians in the United States. This fort was built, it was 100 feet wide by 130 feet long, and the residents of this fort were here for 16 months. There was J. Axtell C. Baker, which is a relative of ours. There was James Byles, who settled up in the Omak area. There was Charles Byles, who is our direct descendant, or direct ancestor, and David Byles, who came out later and started a tannery down in the Hoquiam area, and then later had a tannery in the Olympia area near the Olympia Brewing Company. J. Goodell, who is another, has roots in our family. D. Hennis, who was the head of the fort here because he had 4 daughters. A sergeant, and the sergeants have some relationship with our family. W. Goodell and W. Metcalf, who was the ancestor of our grandmother. These clumps are actually rock mounds that outline where the fort is, and that one big mound in the back was the main well for the water for the fort. Out in this area here is Scatter Creek, where Frank Byles in 1873 drowned, and our Frank Byles was his namesake. From the fort here, we simply turn around, and looking in this direction, if it were a clear day, you'd see Mount Rainier, and right across the road on 183rd Avenue between Olympia and Centralia is the fort here, and we're looking at the entrance of Grand Mound Cemetery, going right on down from on the cemetery The main entrance, about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way down. On the left-hand side is the family burial plots. Town cemetery here is still in use today and is the burial place for many of the original pioneers that settled in this area. At the family plot where the Reverend Charles Byles is buried along with his wife Sarah. They are on the left. The Reverend Charles Byles and Sarah were the parents of Charles Byles, who married Eliza Metcalf, who went down to Montesano, and were the parents of Frank Byles, who married Ruth Aurelia Mason, who were the parents of June, Chester, Elvin, and Carol. They're shot for you, maybe you can read the stone. Reverend Charles, and this is Sarah's. This is a reconstructed plot. We have Robert G. Byles, born in 1855, died 1875. Francis M. Byles, born in 1853 and drowned in 1872, 3 years before our Frank Byles was born. These were children of David Byles, a monument showing David Byles living here and dying here. There's some more of the family on the David Byles monument. Mary Byles, wife of David Byles, and Thad Byles, which was a cousin of our grandfather, great-grandfather, and lived until 1948 and was born the same year as Frank Byles. Moving on to Alderbrook on Hood Canal, our reunion in special dedication to Elvin Byles, who made special effort to last long enough to be with us and give us one final time of enjoyment with you.